Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timo Parker and this is a piano lesson for singer and songwriters, but actually also if you're a piano player who's just starting out, this could be also a helpful video. I'm going to give you a simple finger exercise. We're going to talk about some scales and chords and how to actually play them on the piano. If you have no idea about music theory, which by the way is no problem at all, I just filmed a music theory class, so check it out up here. So just for you to know what a major scale is, what an interval is, to make this class a bit easier for you. So let's get started. Alright, we're gonna get started with a little finger exercise. So you should know by now what a C major scale is, and we're gonna start in the key of C major. So we're gonna put the thumb on the C and just have our fingers on the first 5 notes of the C major scale. So it's very important that you're not collapsing your wrist and you're playing like this, or the fingers are collapsing somehow weirdly like this. So you always wanna have like a claw. You can already try out with a simple grip not to tense and just release and play the note. So this is already the exercise. We're going to play from the root to the fifth and back, and we're going to do it as followed. And just notice that I connect every key. That means I'm not playing like this, which is called staccato music. We want to play it legato. So that means we connect each note so there is no break in between, sound-wise. So just leave the fingers always fall into the key instead of thinking of pushing it. Alright, we're going to do the same thing on the left hand, but here we're going to start on a G. So that means we play from the fifth down to C. So we play the C major scale downwards. Same thing as we did in the right hand. We don't want to play staccato. We first want to try legato. And if that works, we can try it staccato. And now we're going to put those two hands together and just realize that even though we are playing downwards with the left hand and upwards with the right hand, the same fingers are playing at the same time. So the thumbs are playing together, the index fingers, the middle fingers, the ring fingers, and the pinky. And those two fingers, ring finger and pinky, those are the hardest fingers to control in the beginning. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't work. So what we're going to do, we're going to play this a couple of times. Until you start to feel comfortable with it. If you feel comfortable with it, we're gonna introduce a thing called metronome. Just in order for us to stay in tempo, we're gonna have a pulse, a reference, so we are actually playing in time. So I have a metronome here in this piano. I'm just gonna use it for the sake of ease, but you can also use your phones and just get a metronome app or get actually a physical metronome. It really doesn't matter, you just need something to keep the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this thing we're going to use as a reference to play our scale. If this is too easy for you, you can also speed up the exercise a little bit, but just keep in mind it's not about speed here, we just want to play the notes nice and clean. Let's just have a quick listen how it would sound like in a faster tempo. If you get bored with this, this is where fun starts. You can start playing in different keys. That means you could, for example, go chromatically up on the circle of fifth. I'm just going to go chromatically up to show you what you can do in order to learn all your major scales. Because if you look at it, it's already more than the half of the major scale. So you just have to add 2 more notes on top and you have a full major scale. So let's do that. So this is just a way to get your fingers a bit used to the piano. If you go through the keys, just make sure that you always start with a thumb on the root, even if it's a black key. You just saw it in D flat and in E flat major. Another little technical thing that we should be able to do as a singer-songwriter, also especially as a pianist, is to play the major scales. Because if you, for example, writing a song and you want to figure out the melody and you don't know how to play the major scale, because most music is written in major or minor keys, which means you have to know the scales a little bit. And just to make it easier for you, I think it's worth knowing how to play the major scales and which fingers to use and so on and so forth. So let's take a quick look at that, and then the technical part is pretty much done. Alright, just to experience a different key, maybe let's start in the key of D major, which has two alterations, which means the F goes to the F sharp and the C goes to the C sharp. And what we're going to do is we're just going to play this scale with the right fingering, which means each finger has a number. The thumb is the 1, 2 is the index, 3 the middle finger, 4 is the ring finger, and 5 is the pinky, which is the same on the left hand. So we start out to play the major scale in just one hand, and we want to use the right fingering. So that means we start out with, and I'm going to tell you the numbers of the fingers we have to use. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This way it's nice and flowy and we don't have any knots in our fingers. If you want to play a major scale more than an octave, you have to do a little alteration to this fingering, which is, instead of going on the 7th to the octave with the pinky, you just put your thumb again and you can start over, which looks like that. Theoretically, you could also keep going until you have the hang of it. Alright, we can do the same thing with the left hand. So we start, in this case, with the pinky, and the fingering slightly differs in the left hand, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Once again slow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Already played it there over 2 octaves, but these are the fingerings that you should use. If this works fine with both hands, you can put them together. Like that. If this becomes easy, you should start out very slow, note for note, and just be aware on where the changes are happening. So don't rush through that. It's very important that you get the fingerings right in the beginning. If that gets easy, you should start again playing with a metronome. I'm gonna start right with this tempo where we stopped in the other exercise. So that means you get your tempo 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a very technical exercise, but I think it's good to know on how to play the scale in the first place with the right fingerings. I'm gonna include a PDF file down here in the description below where I also include the first exercise and this exercise with the right fingerings and everything. So go grab it, it's for free and it will help you out getting the basics done on the piano. So now we have exercised our fingers a little. So if our brains are not already fried, if yes, please take a break. If not, continue. We're gonna look at more than one note at a time. We're gonna talk about chords now. We're gonna practice some very simple chord progressions that are very common. So let's look at them. Alright, we're gonna look at a chord progression and we're gonna play in the key of E major. I just want to avoid to play everything in C, so you also get used to different keys, to other keys. And the chord progression we want to play is, in this case, E, A, and B major to E. You will hear this chord progression very often in classic, and the reason why I chose this chord progression is because we just have to play major chords for the beginning, which is really helpful. Alright, you might know the chords as followed: E, A major, B major, and then E. But you see there's a lot of jumping around, so what I'm doing is something called inversions. So if you play a triad, you cannot only play it in the root position, that means E is in this case the root, but you can also put this note an octave up, and then you have the third, the fifth, and the root, and you can do this one more time and put the third up, 5, 1, 3, and then we are back home with 1, 3, 5 as we know it. So, and what I'm going to do here is I use the closest ways possible to play the chords. That means E major, A major, B major, E. And we're going to repeat that in each inversion. That means we start from the third, E, A, B, and E. And we're going to do the very same thing one more time. Alright, this is the first exercise. If you start to get comfortable with this, try to include the bass note in the left hand, which is always going to be the root, even though we do the inversion for this exercise for now. So that means you can play one bass note or an octave, it's up to you. So next step would be we include the metronome, we put the chord on the one of each beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, if that is very easy, you can start playing a little with the rhythm and just make sure that you always land for now on the one of the beat, and then you can go further away. For example. And really just have a bit fun with it. It doesn't have to be rocket science. Just place the chords on different positions and just have fun with it. You can do the same principle with different chord progressions to play it in different inversions and positions. So I'm going to give you one more chord progression that also has minor chords in it. And now we're going to play for once in the key of C major. And the chord progression we're going to learn, I'm going to play you the bass notes first and tell you the chords, which is a C major, A minor, D minor, G major. A very common bass figure that you probably have heard already. So we're going to do the following. We're going to stay again in the closest position possible and go through the chord progression 1, 6, 2, 5, which is if that gets easy, you can start incorporating a time again. You can also play around with the rhythm, but what I'm going to do is to make the chord changes move a bit faster, and this is also more common with this chord progression. That means each chord just has 2 beats and then we change. So these are some very simple chord progression, and just keep in mind it's an exercise with very simple chords. You can learn how inversion works and also get a feel of playing chords. But what you could also do instead of using this made up chord progressions, you can also just learn to play songs of your favorite bands. So you just go online, you now have the chord formulas, you know how to build them, and just try to play through a song in the closest way possible. Try to avoid jumping from root to root position, because you see the hand movement is quite big. We always want to have the smallest movement possible in those 3 voices of the triads, because it also sounds better and it's just easier to play. Those exercises are not going to make you a great musician or songwriter, it's just to get you familiar with the instrument and being able to do the things that you need in order to write your music and to really just get started with the instrument. So one little bonus tip that I want to give you is don't get too overwhelmed with the material out there. The internet is a great thing, you can find so much stuff online, but also it can be a bit intimidating because there's just so much information out there. Just be sure that you know the basics, that you know your major scales, maybe also minor scales, and the chords, just to be sure to have that covered before you start gathering more and more information, because those things just have to be done. You just have to sit down, practice them, and you will see a lot of things will get much easier with time. Even 10 minutes a day can already make the difference if you do it frequently. So have patience and trust in the process. Things will start to come together if you practice regularly. So get started and just stick with it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.